Can you hear me? All right, technology. Love technology. So today it will be most likely the last class in this group for this year, because the next class I'll explain everything on the end, where it's going to happen, where it's going to be for 3 days in a finish line. So such an exciting time, not many weeks before the end of the year, and I wanted to go and share the class today. But in a sense of a class more of contemplation, as I'm somebody who is a seer, and I see the visions in you, vision in the world, and I see where it's going. And today I wanted to touch base for many reasons, and today is my mother's birthday. And we talk about it so much about the father wounding, what it does to us as the women, as our limitless women. But what does the mother wounding does to us? Not every mother is perfect. I'm not perfect. We do certain things to our children, but what did our mothers or grandmothers done to us? And I asked recently in a group, what would you like me to cover up? And one of the things what was written down for me, it was about overthinking. And why do we then overthink? And depending on the presentation of in that moment, what's the overthinking about it, we need to learn where is that overthinking coming up for you. But a bigger picture of that is, if we go into overthinking, we're understanding that we are in unhealed emotion, because we know that that's not profound, upper conscious emotion. And not every time, and I wanted to give you this today because we are magic on legs and we are beautiful women. We do overthink from time to time. And why do we overthink it? Well, when we were little girls, if we've seen the scenario of our parents not knowing how to communicate, and that's me, my parents didn't know how to communicate at all whatsoever. And they're divorced and they still don't know how to communicate with each other. And as a little girls, we learn this wartime at home, or unbalanced emotions, no communications, all of that. We get to become teenagers and young women, and the passage of becoming a woman, it's celebrated how? In a way of you had a period and then it's like, oh, you're a woman now. But did anyone taught us a deeper emotions behind the womanhood? That it's not just a period, having a period, like, you know, the body is showing us that we're becoming to the next stage of our development as a human being. So as the little girls, what do we learn in the childhood, in that crucial moments of communications, of being able to sit down and resolve the puzzles, or sit down and understand our emotions? And we can't understand them when we're children. We have parents to show us. We have parents to teach us. But our parents didn't know how to teach us back then, because that's not something what was being understood at all. Absolutely was not understood at all. And most likely you've got a parents at home like myself where they're not going to understand anyway if you even try to explain to them. They'll be like, what are you talking about? This is where I want to say this to you. Your inner growth and consciousness will grow. Not everyone will going to follow. And then we can't go into everyone to tell them, this is what you're supposed to be doing, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Because then, why is it that you want that? Yeah, I know you want them to grow, you want them to learn, if it's your partner, if it's your children. But are they ready or are they scared? And remember this, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and there are psychics and healers who are not like me, or not like, I would say, we're normal. And men are still seeing those psychics and healers. Oh, women go over there to see if I'm cheating, and women go there, they'll come home with some magical potion and some lotions and some crystals and all sorts of things, and it's going to be chaos in a house. Because some of the healers or psychics are like that, and they're causing the chaos and all sorts of things. So remember the man's concept, where is it coming from? Something in the past that it happened. So if you're coming across like, I want to teach you something, they're like, I didn't ask for it. The same thing with your family. So I'm telling you this because I'm not doing that with my family. What I do is what I've said so many times in my classes. I'm a lighthouse. So the contemplation for this class is about when you realize your emotions are incoming. And this is what's going to spill into conscious parenting too. I think so in today's video, sometimes I get confused how many videos do I do in a day. In a conscious parenting, it's about teaching yourself a self-awareness, and then spilling that energy, spilling that. It's like you have to imagine the energy, and I know you can't see the energy the way I see it, but it's energy, and it's like a waterfall waves, and it's movement. The mother, it's nurturing, yeah? The man, it's external, but the mother is internally, because the man is leading and the woman is inside. So I should have gone like this and that, like the where's the camera? The father and the mother. So that's how the team happens, yeah? That's how I see it. Easiest explanation is as a visionary person. So that's the leading one, that's the nurturing, yeah? And biologically, how does a man look like? How does the female parts look like? Don't have to explain it, yeah? So conscious parenting, and then the mother is about where self-reflection, or sometimes we just sit with the children and allow them to speak. Sit with the children and see if they're angry. Sit with them. The same thing goes for you. You're not going to become a self-conscious parent overnight like this. So when we are overthinking, what are we doing? Looking for solutions. Because we watched our mother when we were little girls, that she was flying off the handles, helicopter. She didn't know what she was doing, and you're going like, oh, what is she doing right now? And she's like running around, or she's frozen. She's like absolutely iceberg frozen. She's not moving, she's not doing anything, and you're going like, I need you, but she's not there. It's easier said than done why she's not there, blah, blah, blah. She's not there because she can't. She's not there for herself. She can't even give you that. So when we go in overthinking modes, we're scared. We want to find a solution. And you go into the solution, which is distorted, masculine. Very much so. I can't look at anyone's messages. If you're messaging, I have got my watch on. I forgot to take it off. But it's buzzing. So I am not seeing anyone's messages at all. And I'm on a laptop. So I'm looking at if I can actually even see the comments. Oh, I found the screen. Yeah, I can see the comments if anyone is commenting. But I can't see any other messages. So with a mother overthinking, if you're overthinking as a mother, as a woman, we're looking for the solutions because we feel like we need to have a solution, and that goes into distorted masculine, because the masculine is usually finding a solutions. We come to him and say, what do you think, what we're supposed to be doing, blah blah blah, because we're the nurturing, he's in the leading. But you're going distorted one because it's like, I have to find a solution, I have to find a solution. Do you need to always find a solution? or you're just simply afraid of stillness, afraid of that sometimes you don't have to do anything except watch and observe. And I'll say this again, sometimes you just have to watch and observe. It's like me with my friends where I said to them, do you want to have a solution to help you, or you just want to vent? And all my friends, if they did not book a session, they will say, I just want to vent. So that way I know what I have to go and do. Just listen. And don't have to do anything. So when you can, in the next scenario, sit down with yourself or write in journal, why did you want to try to find a solution? I'm a mother, I have to find the solutions. I will say, do you? Do you? Do we always have to find the solutions? Who put that on your coding of your energy grid that you have to find a solution? And this is again what we then go into the inner child and have a look and do extraction of that. Why? Because that is wounded. I want to teach you how to go from limited to limitless. A limitless woman truly doesn't have labels. When she speaks, she doesn't have labels. Because if we label someone and we say somebody's toxic, somebody's narcissistic, and I do this on a social media because people don't know and they don't understand, so I have to do that. And I always say this using for the purpose of explanation. But when we're labeling, we're actually judging someone. Doesn't matter if they are toxic, non-toxic, loving, non-loving. We are judging, we're criticizing someone in that particular moment. And that is then that energy goes back to ourselves. And then we say, if we've done that back X, Y, and Z, that person or X, Y, and Z, another person, we're going to do the same thing to us. So do you see how that goes into overthinking and a solution? Because we're trying to model this picture to the world that it's different you, perhaps. Or you're trying to change the picture and you're still working on to the new levels where you're going to it. Most likely is one picture to the world. And I see this all the time on the social media. One picture to the world, and behind it, it's absolutely chaos, especially, you know, like some of them, like I know when people know from the business groups, which are closed groups, and yeah, what they say over there, it's nothing what's written down on actual social media. No transparency at all. And I know that that's really hard to figure out which one is the real and which one is not the real person at all over there. Okay, the comment. I see one, but I can't see it over there on the comments at all. So I'll have to have a look at it later. It's not coming up. So why do we do the judgment? Why do we put so much of expectations on ourselves? Because we're not in a flow with the nature. We're not with the flow. And if you notice with work what I do and every class what I deliver, you're going to listen to it a couple months later. And then you'll be going like, oh my God, it makes so much more sense, because maybe you had a session, maybe you're on a program with me, and now it's like, this is actually making sense. Because sometimes those classes are not going to make sense, because the emotions, the energy, the way how I bring the whole thing forward for you, it is not ordinary way of doing it. Completely not. Because your emotions are tangled and I have to untangle that. And in these classes too, so many times I get inbox messages afterwards asking me, Yelena, how do you do these things? Like how to absolutely unpack it? Well, it's impossible to write it down in a text message afterwards. That's solvable in the sessions. And it's never ever one session only. the greatest results you're going to get when it's in the beginning quite often. And that's why hyperspeed programs are weekly and 2 or 3 hour sessions. And then it goes into the containers of the 6 months. And that's where you get absolutely the most results. And why do I say that? Because then you're putting yourself as a value. Absolutely value. And what are we going to do from the next year too? It will be a group coaching. So for some of you who cannot do yet one-on-one sessions, there'll be a group coaching, which will be a class, and there'll be group coaching, like 3 months, but there will be like 3 classes of questions and answers in it. There'll be no one-on-one sessions at all, and there will be class, giving a class like this, and it will be questions, being able to do it over the text message. But again, it's not going to be like a whole hour of text messaging at all, because it will be more tailored to the videos, which will going to be every single week for 3 months. So there'll be quite a few new changes for the next year and end of this year coming up, to tailor for everyone's needs and covering up as much as I can of the people to help them with emotions. So I want to give this because it's November. It's end of the November coming up. I said November is going to be chaotic. It was super chaotic and it still is chaotic. But we had recently a big difference. And this is happening even more. And I can't explain this. February and March comes in next year. I think I'll be pulling my hair out. Because what's going to happen is consciousness and non-conscious. There'll be such a bigger division, like a bigger division in people. So I'll give you this as a heads up. Absolutely, there's going to be a huge division in people. I encourage you that you follow or are working with the people who resonate with you, who can see the visions. And I want to put more as a visions. What do you want for yourself? But if you're going to be just saying, I want this, and you're doing nothing, and you stand there and expect it's like, it's going to land in your lap, it's not going to land in your lap. Doesn't matter how many times I say this. Ain't going to land. And if the psychic, and I'm psychic, and I say this, if the psychic told you this is going to happen, X, Y, and Z, the car, the pay rise, the this, that, if it's not in alignment and you're not doing the work, which means moving your little butt cheeks to go and get it in alignment with it, because you do have to move your little butt cheeks to get it in alignment. It's not just enough you're not doing the energy grid and that's it. It really isn't. If you can't hold the frequency of it, and that's why I created the Radical Manifesting program, which we're going to be coming up on the 4th of December. The 1st of December will be finish line. Radical Manifesting is going to be a price $88, but after finish line is finished, it will be up to $111. So you'll have for that 3 days for $88, and then after that it's going to $111. It's going to be live access for it and a Facebook group where you're going to be able to access it, the Radical Manifesting. Because as much as you want to have a calm house and being conscious parent, if you just read a book or listen to the podcast, but not implementing it, not embodying it, not understanding your own foundations of it, because you read a book and then you go like, where the fuck am I in this book? Am I in embodiment? Am I in abandonment? Am I in distorted masculine? Am I in distorted feminine? At which age this happened? And there's no book like that yet. If there is, I would have told you which one to read it, because there is no like that. I just mean what I'm seeing in people when I see them. And how to do it, and how to embody it, how when I do the hypnosis, what it comes up for you, what scenarios, imprints in your head come up. But then put the head together with the heart. That's why there is a heart activation program. One of my first recorded programs is a heart activation program, which works with your heart coherence. And I had a client, and I'm sure she's watching now, saying one day she watched it for heart activation for 10 times. Why? To help her. So the mother inside of you, the mother is all about the nurturing. But if we had a mother who didn't know how to nurture us and didn't know how to hold us, what happened to you? How many walls did you put yourself up? Did you then when extend yourself and go into the therapist mode, into I'm going to do all of this by myself. I'm going to be that super mom, superhero, super mom, superhero, and doing it and being the best. But you know what's going to happen? Because it's not in authenticity and that natural flow of energy, boom, crash is going to happen. Absolutely crash is going to happen inside of you. And I don't want that for you to happen. So to have the visions, what you wanted to have for 2024, to have got the visions how to finish off the year, finish line, mastermind class, which is a Facebook group, totally different. I want to see who's going to be ready, who is ready to go into that group and wants to be in that group. And that group is going to be there for the duration of the mastermind class, which will be free completely, but that's going to be like finish off the year with a bing bang. And then a radical manifesting. So how are you holding a vision for yourself? Where is that walls of that little girl holding on to it that she needs to go and do everything in the perfection and the perfectionism? She abandoned herself in that moment when she did that. And now you're probably sitting down and you could be even crying and you could be even saying like, my goodness, I abandoned myself so many times. And this is where I teach in A Limitless Woman. A limitless woman recognizes all of these things inside of herself. That group coaching is going to be pre-recorded on the end of it, the videos where you're going to be able to listen and listen and listen in a closed group, obviously. And what can you do for yourself in those moments when you realize that you abandoned yourself so many times? Well, first one is recognition. I abandoned myself. What can I do in those moments of abandonment? What do I need in those moments of abandonment? What does the little girl inside of you needs in those moments of that abandonment? And you can abandon yourself. And you did many, many, many times. I know this. I did the same thing. Everything what I teach you is based on a clients, based on what I see energetically, and based on some of the things what I did too. And when we go in abandonment, what happens is the next stage of it, we become an ice queen. And I'll be the first one to put a hand up and say, I was that once upon a time, many, many, many years ago. If anyone asks me how I'm fine, I'm great, I'm tops. Instead of me, I was falling apart. But I wasn't allowed to show truly how I was. Where did I learn this? From my mother. And I thought that that was normal. And I thought that's how it's supposed to be. So if you're a parent, and when I teach about conscious parenting, and you have a conscious parenting class in this group, you just have to find it. Or we talk about this in the sessions, when you come and see me in the sessions. And then it's particularly tuning channel message to you. Absolutely tuning channel message to you. In the conscious parenting, what happened? If your mother was like that, and then she abandoned herself, how did that make you feel as a little girl? How to unpack that? And I can't unpack that in the classes because I don't want to do that in a sense, because what's going to happen is you'll be absolutely crying and it will not going to be me there to energetically hold you and to be able to help you to not just heal, but a chaos of emotions, it can be released so much that you're going to spiral down. Because the changes are not easy to happen. Changes means something new is coming up. And just like in surgeries, we go in intensive care afterwards to watch on a patient, to make sure that they're not just blood pressure, everything that it's fine and they're okay. And then after that, they're released to the ward. And after that, they're released to go home with home care. There is a reason for it. I'm not with you 24 hours, 7 days a week when you're working with me closely. But there is a reason why when I talk about the emotions so much and I treasure them so much and I hold them so special and my work so special in integrity, that I want to resolve and unpack huge things in the sessions. because I can be able to hold you then and make sure that you're okay. So that little girl inside of you, when she saw her mother being completely closed off and not knowing what to do, and she was confused, how did you learn to solve the problems or hold your emotions? Close up. That was the only way how you learn. And now you're bigger and you maybe have got a children of your own and you're going like, I don't want to repeat my mother's issues. I didn't like it. There is some trigger that it happened in your life right now that it just went like, I can't be doing this anymore. I don't want to become like my mother. So if that's the case, start working on yourself. And like I said, that vision, if you're going to sit and just expect of it, psychic said this is going to happen, it's going to be better. Well, it's not going to be any better if we're just going to sit and wait for it because the psychic said it. You know why? Because the third part is you don't know how to hold that vision. You don't know how to hold that energy grid. You do not know how to hold that frequency of it. And frequency of balanced, healthy, feminine. So how does a healthy, balanced feminine holds herself, be assertive, knows that she doesn't have to go into the fixing mode, knows that she doesn't have to go into, I have to find the solutions. So I'll give you two things, and I will do a reel about this too, because this is important in everyone's journey. Realizing that emotions were going to come to the surface. What I noticed with everyone so much on social media, they make such a big things of routines. I say to my routines, but to me they're everyday things, like I'm brushing my teeth. But you know what's the biggest routine in your life, what you can actually do for yourself? Realize that you want to unpack your emotions. Realize that you don't want to hold on to triggers and the wounds. You want those wounds which are active to become scars which are non-active. And when they become non-active, it's the realization and reflection. When they're active, explosions happen. Boom. And you don't know how to hold yourself. And you don't know how to hold yourself because it's out of the absolutely fear. Your body goes into the fear things and your chest pops out and everything, and just like even your spine goes like, but I have to go and do this. And if you watch yourself, you do become like that. It's energetically closing that energy and preserving it inside of yourself in that moment, because that's how I read the energy when you're coming and I'm like, oh, what just happened? And they go and tell me and show me the pictures and visions, what happened to you. But energetically, you hold it like that on your body. So yes, you can release it. How? Not just going for a massage, not just journaling. Realizing, what did you do? What happened to you? Go back to your homework if you're in my sessions. Contact me and see it. What happened? How can I help you in between the sessions? Or have completely a session, because older we are, our container gets bigger and bigger if we are not actually compounding it. If we're compounding all the unbalanced emotion, well, the train becomes a chain. And not just one wagon, there's 2, 3, whatever. The whole lot, it gets bigger. Older we are, there is more days in our lives on our timeline. So then the bigger things collide. Absolutely bigger things collide. So I don't want that to happen for you. So I wanted to give you a way of saying, a contemplations of thinking for yourself. Really today that you redrawn inside of yourself and really go into the journaling, like literally I have my notebooks, obviously I write the notes and everything, and things like this, like the programs, channel stuff, whatever I write it down, I always write it down on a pen and paper. I'm old-fashioned and writing everything on pen and paper. Then I go and rewrite it, or I send a voice messages to my copywriter, God love her, that she listens to my voice messages and then she transcribes it. But it's about, healing is about pausing and reflection. Then yes, there is energy healing and releasing, and yes, that happens with me, with my magic, what I have got inside of me. But the magic is teaching you the mindset shifts. And what I've seen with the clients, a huge breakthroughs, what I have got is when I do, I don't want to call it hypnosis, but it is hypnosis, where I do the same thing for the past lives, take you onto the journey of like meditation. And we do the same thing for the inner child. Yes, those sessions are longer sessions. They're never ever short sessions. But they're the sessions where the most active stuff comes out and releasing those blocks for you. So for the overthinkers, homework for you. I overthink because what does it give me overthinking? Safety. Remember this, body will always, the mind, the logical mind, this brain, will going to give you solutions to keep you safe. Why do we don't like the fear and the pain? Why do we get so scared? Why do we faint when there's so much pain? The body wants to protect us. What does it happens with the hormones and our cortisol? It gets expelled out of our the adrenal glands, everything that I don't explain medically, and then it's trying to protect us. That we don't see it. That's why in trauma, people will faint. They're not going to remember everything. And that could exactly the same happen to you. It's too much of pain, too much of the emotions which we're so scared what's going to happen. But if you go into it, that you trust the doctors, that you see things, that you trust your husband, that you're able to speak and communicate, but you're not going to be able to speak to him if you come out on attack to him and say to him, exaggeration, yeah? I had this with the clients that seen different psychics that didn't see me in that point. And psychic told me this and it's like, and the man is like, oh my God, she is attacking me. You're not approaching her with love and nurturing as a feminine woman. So always approach those conversations with, I feel, but how you're going to do that, you're going to write it down for yourself. What do you feel about yourself? What do you feel about yourself? What do you feel about in that moment when you're overthinking? I need to find the solutions. Example. But what if we put a different vision of it? If we're overthinking, saying to ourselves, what am I trying to overthink? What am I trying to have a look? Is that healthy? Is that non-healthy? And I feel some of you like the energy, like I just listen to the energy, is like shooting down the legs right now. And if it is, again, doesn't matter what I say to you, what to do, because that energy coding inside of you from the lower back, it's non-existent. So it's not going to hold on to it. There is no glue, there is no attachment. So this is where my energy comes in and glues that together. This is the problem where people see the therapist and they just talk in the sessions, where with me, it's like changing the energy and mindset. It's changes happen straight away and instantly I can see it, like the energy is like, it's just falling down. So I'm going like, oh my goodness, my mind is like thinking like, where, how do I help you in that moment? It's a sacral, yeah, so sacral, belly button, uterus section there. So not just to ground yourself, but believe in yourself. And if you can't speak with love, practice this like we're doing in a heart activation, hand on heart, really hand on heart. And when you were a little girl, what did you most want to have from your mother? Maybe write it down today. Maybe write a letter and burn that letter. What did you want to have from your mother? And I say why to burn it? Because it didn't happen. There's no need to look at it in a sense of being angry or disappointed that she didn't give you that. But the moment you heal, the moment you shift, the world shifts. People shift. If they're not toxic, they will shift. And I always say this, if they're not toxic, yes, I gave you the label, but I gave you the label that you understand why. The men and the marriages improve again when the man is not toxic. When you're consistent, and I will say this, not when you have a session once a month or once every 6 months. That's not going to happen. That's like dribs, drabs. Happens when your energy is like 100% like, and man wants to see consistency. Men are big on a consistency because they're masculine leadership men. So if they see that you're inconsistent, he goes like, oh, here she goes again, and rolls his really his eyes. Oh, she's going again. Must be period, must be this, must be that. To a degree, we gave them some of those things and titles to call us like that because we acted like that. But we didn't know any better. So we have a choice to change this right now. And I know I'm raising a generation of a different women, limitless women, children who are different. Because if our children have got more healed foundations and healed more ancestral line and cellular line, imagine their life. And I can see this on my children. And I didn't know all of those things when I had them. Oh God, no, I didn't. I wish I did, but I didn't know that. But seeing Josh and Lara now, 19 and 22, how conscious they are. The other day I had upgrade. And when I say energy upgrade, that means I got so sick. It was 2:22 in the morning, and I actually called Joshua on his phone to come to my bedroom. I was that sick. I was really sick. I was really sick. He almost called the ambulance, how sick I was. But this is what happens in energy upgrades. It really does. So for days now, I didn't even touch the meat or anything like that because it was just like, I can't. The other day I had a salami and that was like the only meat what I ate this week at all. And this is what happens from time to time. It's part of being the energy healer, true energy healer. This is what's going to happen. So Joshua, to be able to be conscious and to be in a nurturing and to be able to know what to do, well, his father would never do what Joshua did for me. And for Lara to be able to speak with me the way how she did the other day, it is so amazing. And the children, if you have a little children, don't shoot the message on what I'm going to say to you. They're your long-term investment. And sometimes you're not going to see all the results right now, but you're going to see them later. The other day when my best friend was here and we just spoke about it, and she goes, they're so beautiful, your children. She goes, you invested so much, even though they went through 2 divorces. And they went through all of the things with me. The more I was stable, more I was calm, and calm means I spoke with them and said to them, Mum is getting angry, Mum is getting triggered, this is just so not fair. But I was not flying off the handles. I was acknowledging that emotion, that it's coming up. And I know some of you are listening and you go like, yep, I've got the same thing. And then you're just like, I had that many times, 2 divorces, hello. Plenty of shit there. Absolutely plenty. But everything, when I look at it in retrospect, what happened in my life, it made me who I am today. It made me who I am today. To be able to help, to be able to do things, to be able to see things. It's like a client yesterday and she's in UK, and it's when I said to her things and I said, I did this, I managed to do this with 2 children in tow. She's going to head through the divorce and falling apart of the family, where your husband said that he's not in love anymore, and he'd done emotional cheatings before and stuff, so it was not pleasant, you know. And again, where I was like, what's happening there? She goes, you always know how to send a perfect message and a perfect timing when I'm just about to burst. And I do, because I feel it. That's where you get the messages, when you get messages from me, because I know something is like, often I'm just checking the energy. As soon as I log into you, like you send a message, I'm checking on you. When I say to you, a lot of things, what I help clients when I see the emotions and I want to see what's the next pattern is going to help. Yes, I know about the emotions, but to be able to help you even more further, it's because I experienced that on me. I experienced that on me, and I can just say it. So that's why I say, and I get upset when I see people giving a parental advice and they have no children. That is something that I always say this, please be careful with that. If you didn't experience something, you can't say that you understand it either. So the children are long-term investment. More your karma, and again, I will say this, you can get upset, but acknowledge that you're upset. Acknowledge that you get triggered. That's something what we didn't learn as the little girls. I certainly didn't learn that from my parents at all, especially from my mother. Nothing at all. So vulnerability is very important. And a man, when I teach about feminine and masculine energy, men love when you're vulnerable. Not when you're flying off the handles. They hate that. And I'm sure if your men are listening to it, they're probably nodding their head and go like, yep, she's right. Because I hear them in the sessions. And I've seen that as, you know, having a man, especially like kids' dad, for many years when we were married. So vulnerability, and that could be so difficult for you because you're thinking he's going to judge me. Well, if you're dating him and he's judging you, that's on him. That's a pure reflection of him. And if you're judging others, guess what? That mirror stands in front of you. Don't judge others. Whatever they're doing. And today, like another part of the reflection, what I want to give you before we finish. The story, I'm just thinking what story I was going to give you. I'll give you this story. When I was divorcing Alan, kid's dad, I was driving through the roundabout. I kid you not, I didn't saw this car. I just drive through, straight through. You know, typical blonde, like just straight through. Didn't see it, but I was under so much stress and it was chaotic, super chaotic. That's what the secondary was like. It was like a piece of cake. And I went through through the roundabout, yeah? And the guy pulled the window down and the lights at the Comes Hill. And I thought to myself, oh my God, here we go. He's going to abuse me. You woman, you stupid woman, blah, 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 blah. He goes, are you okay? And I went like, huh? And he goes, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm so sorry. I went through the round. I realized, obviously, because, you know, in that moment, I realized the whole life in front of me flashed out because I saw the car. And he asked me that. He had compassion. He asked me that. He didn't go, you stupid dumb bimbo, blah, 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 blah. He could have. So don't judge others. You never know what's happening in their life, that they done what they did. Yes, I understand there's toxic people, yeah? Again, I'm just talking about normal things. So when your children get you cranky, ask them what made you to do this, or how come you done this? Rather than go like, what the fuck did you do this for? And trust me, when Joshua done the cinnamon challenge and we had a cinnamon through the whole kitchen, when I come home and I worked 2 jobs, I was divorcing their dad, and the kitchen was white. And Joshua decided to do, back then there was cinnamon challenge. And he put a whole tablespoon of cinnamon in his mouth. He spat it everywhere. Every single cupboard for 2 weeks had cinnamon inside, even though we wiped everything. And I come home and there was cinnamon smell everywhere. And I'm like, I adore cinnamon, but it was like, What did they do? And I go and ask them. Lara's upstairs in a bedroom hiding, which I'm like, Joshua done something. That was the first sign. I didn't even have to tune in. It was like, okay, what did he do? I'm like, Joshua, come downstairs. What did you do? But it wasn't like that. I'm like, Joshua, what happened while mummy was at work and you two came home, and what happened? Oh, nothing. I was just cooking. And I'm like, cooking with cinnamon. And he goes like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, did something happen in the kitchen? Do I need to look and help to clean up or anything like that? And there was cinnamon everywhere. But because I was calm, because I knew that whatever they tried to do, they tried to solve the problem too. I went above it. But I couldn't do that if I was not at the place where I was. If I didn't fill up my own tanks. So I will say this too. Filling up your own tanks is not just having a bath and journal. Filling up your own tanks is in many, many levels. And myself, when I have these upgrades like this, do you think so? I've got 1 session a week. Sometimes it's 2 sessions a week to do things for myself. And be in that leadership, be in that place as leading. Another contemplation what I want to give you is to, and this is visions too. If you're in a business or you're running a business or you want to have got money in your business, you want to be paid, but you're not willing to pay for something X, Y, and Z. Again, that's a mirroring and a reflection on your part. And how do I say that? Well, if you're in a business, behind the business is you as a person. When you go into flow of feminine energy in receiving, the business is in receiving. And when we go into distorted masculine, business is just not making sense at all. And it's not in contemplations of making money. So I do want to touch that because November is here, December is going to be coming up, and this is going to be part of the radical manifesting too. In your household, behind your household, if it's just you, it's you. If it's children, then it's you're the leader. If it's you and your husband, then it's you and your husband is leading of that team if you have children. The more you sit down with contemplations of emotions, realizing them, reflect on them, heal them, unpack them, you're going to peel bigger layers of yourself. And I show you this all the time. I peel my big layers of my particular things over the weekend. I did, because I was like, yep, I'm ready for it. Let's go to the next level. Next level. So until we don't die, we are doing the work on ourselves. Just like until you don't have no car, you'll have to take a car to the service. Same thing. But with emotions, we kind of forget that our emotions is petrol. Our emotions is that engine. Our emotion is that water thing on the car. I'm not a mechanic here. And that would have killed me if I don't know all of these details, but it doesn't matter, he doesn't know this. Same thing. We have to look after the car. We have to look after our emotions. But sadly, as mothers, we put ourselves last. And this is where the most things happen when we are down at the bottom. I'm not going to say the word in English because I can't say it. I always break my tongue to say it. No, I'm not happening that I'm going to say this word. It's when a mother is hurt, in pain, and spiraling down, the most shadow work pops out to have a look inside of yourself for your own growth and healing. And with the children and with everything what's happening inside of you, another part, they're reflecting what you need to heal within yourself. They're reflecting what you need to heal in yourself. So if your children or your husband is triggering you, I love my son. He's walking so slowly that nobody can hear him. He's got a big smile. He's making sure that nobody can see him. Nobody can see you, Josh. But, and you see, I told him when I've got a class and everything else. But this is life. This is absolutely life. And, you know, compromises and being in absolutely gratitude that I've got a house, a child home, Laura's in Melbourne, everything is going to work out well. And if somebody really doesn't mind it and think that it's unprofessional or anything like that, they're not my client, or they're not in my vibe, or they're not in my frequency. The same thing for you. Don't question yourself when somebody's not in your circle anymore. Trust that the frequency is too different. So now we're just coming down. I totally forgot the thought, what I was supposed to say. But all my classes are done up generally without the notes. Why? Because transparency of the classes, the energy when it comes through it. I want to channel what's the most important, the most crucial in that moment, and not just to be a reading, because then heck, that to me is not authenticity, and you can't hear my voice, you can't hear it, and I just believe more into the real things. I hate when it's like notes like lectures when you go to the uni and it's like, we're not at university, so I don't want to have that for you. That's my work, the way I deliver things. So yes, the husband and the children, thank you Spirit, they show you the biggest things what you need to heal within yourself. So if they're triggering you, have a look what they're triggering in me. They're not allowing me to speak, they're not allowing me this X, Y, and Z, but how are you doing the same thing to yourself? And then pop yourself up for the sessions. That things, if they're compounding, they're going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And then one little thing, it's going to be like volcano eruption. Absolutely eruption. Like Mother Etna exploding. And then trauma bonding, fire extinguisher, go and fix it all up. And then again, we have a next wave. Did you notice that in your household we have good times and then we have bad times, and then we're in a fixing mode, and then we're going to like, okay, ease off, and then give it 2 days, boom, falls house again, because the foundations are not built strong. So until they're not built strong, and that's going to take some time. So when you have a children, build the good strong foundations in the children. And that's why I talk about my children so much, that you can see it, where they are and what stages they are. For Lara to say, all of you who know her dad, and I know some of you know her dad because you know me from the clinic, she goes like, "Dad is so emotionally constipated" the other day, and I was just laughing. Because I never heard her saying that stuff, and she actually acknowledged it herself, and she's like, Jesus, like, he's so emotionally constipated. That was her words. And I'm like, I laughed because she actually embodied that. I laughed that she actually understands it at the age of 19. And guess what? She's not going to be someone's therapist, because she will realize those things, that those men need a little bit of help. But if that man really willing to work on himself, she will then go into the relationship with that person, if it's on a love level. But me, when I was 19, I didn't know nothing about that stuff. But she at 19 knows it, because I teach her. I talk to her. Not always. And remember, I don't go and tell them and give them a class. God, no. Totally different. This is what I teach in a conscious parenting. That approach with the children has to be so different. Similar to the men. You're not there, let's go teach you the class how to clean up and put the toilet seat down. That's a different story. We teach them that logically, but they never don't do it anyway. I've never seen yet the men to go and pull the toilet seat down. Josh sometimes does it or sometimes doesn't do it. Yeah. Just give up on that. Like some of the things you just give up onto it. And I say give up onto it because it's like, is it necessary on a scheme of bigger things what you are working on right now? Okay. So, finish line starts on the 1st of December, mastermind class. You will be there for 3 days. And then after that is a radical manifesting. So, why did I create the finish line? Because end of the year is coming. And end of the year is always kind of forgotten. But what I notice with the clients, January comes in, and give it 2 weeks into the January, I get so overwhelmed and inundated with the calls. Yelena, blah, 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 blah. This is what happened at Christmas, New Year, you know, all the family feuds, fights, extinguish are like, who has a good Christmas? Like literally. I get Christmas messages, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, it's like, I want to kill my family. That's what, like, I literally get the text messages like that. Like, it's like, yeah, Wild West. So middle of the January, it's like, Yelena, nothing on my vision board is working. But why the finish line is so important of the year? Because it's a springboard for the next year. And we kind of sweep it up. Christmas is coming, Christmas, 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 Christmas. And again, energetically, it's like tornado towards the Christmas. Christmas happens and then it's like, boom, swish, done, dusted. It's like, oh my God, what do we do then? The same as with weddings and a honeymoon. When that phase is finished, it's like huge drop because we didn't have a slow and we didn't know how to have a springboard for the next phase. And that's why I created the finish line and then a radical manifesting, because how you're going to be manifesting anything for 2024. I mean, I love it and I don't love it. I'm sarcastic right now. When I put all of this on vision boards, Yelena, is this going to happen? And again, I say, where's your little two bum cheeks? Aligned with this or not aligned? Do you believe into it? Do you not believe into it? And especially when I tune into the inner child, I go like, it's not going to happen. But they've done this marvelous masterclass somewhere for like $2. It told them that it's going to happen. It can happen if you're actually in alignment with it, emotionally and energetically in alignment. That's how this house, the stairs happen. That's how this house happened with lots of things. What was on my vision board, from the barn door to everything. And I didn't do So you want to have changes in your life, you need to actually do the work. This is where I will say this, and that doesn't mean just dropping. So for the people who are here, I can't see, and I would love to see the comments, which I'm trying to figure out the comments. I want to see who is here, and I don't know why I can't see the comments, and I can't see it anywhere else. I am recording here. Can anyone make a comment really that I can just see it, but it's not showing me any comments. Okay. If you're online and you're watching this class, ask a question. You can ask any question you want to, even if it's a psychic. You can only do it during the class. As soon as the class is finished, please respect that. Don't send me messages and ask me anything. So during the class, you can ask a question. So I'll be here answering them. So ask a question if you want to in the comments. I can't see my phone messages, so please don't send it on my phone messages. So you can ask a question psychically, you can ask a question, you can ask emotional question, anything like that, and I'll answer it if you wanted to have it like Q&A. And I'll just wait for it. If you don't do anything of that for the next couple of minutes, we're going to close the class. Then after that, there is no messages of asking any questions. You can ask in a psychic way if you want to, what I see, anything like that if you want to. If you want to just connect with somebody, love on from the other side, you can do that. I wanted to give you that as a different bonus today for the clients who are actually on here in the class. Okay, I'll try to see this, if I can see the messages again. I just see Sirian and Pauline's, and it says there's 5 comments. Don't you love this? Okay, I managed to figure out, I'm done, almost closed my screen. 2024, Pauline, or what I'm saying is, like, I'll say this, middle of the year, really June or something, there'll be issues with the stomach. And I really say this, please watch onto it. Please watch on your food. There is issues there. There is stomach issues. Really much so. I don't want you to have got a surgery. So what I'm saying to you is, like, watch on all of these things, because sometimes you can prevent things not to happen. Please watch onto it. I'm not feeling comfortable regarding your stomach part onto it. Oh, Marina, beautiful. Roxy, where do I start? With which part? What are you talking about? Where do you start? With which part? You have so much stuff. Like, I don't want to be funny and just go like, there's a notebook. Like, where do you start? Which parts do you want to go and start off? Any question wise? I'd like to know how next year is looking for me. Well, it's up to you, really, Marina, to move or not to move back overseas, you know, from New Zealand to Croatia. And again, you know, can you see my number 2? Yeah, I think it's coming up next year. It's going to happen. It will be easy. It will be fine. That's if you want to. If you don't want to, that's a different story. March or April. That's what I feel like. So, Roxy, where do you start? Can you please ask me that? What are you referring to it? You're welcome, Marina. Pauline, can you send me the results in my inbox or in a messenger, please? That I have a look. I want to see your bloods too. It doesn't feel right to me at all, honey. So I really wanted that way you check it, because I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel right at all. Again, this is women's group, so please be mindful of this and hold the space for this beautiful woman. When I say these things, I feel like a toilet issues. I really need to go and check up your stomach, the pancreas, to check it up onto it. There is a whole energy is like entangled and doesn't sit really well at all. Again, emotions in the stomach, you know, they start off. A lot of over there is anger and resentment. There's lots of father stuff inside, and the hologram what sits inside of you. Oh, it's almost like kind of making me like, even if the food is repeating in your mouth at the moment, like at the moment, like literally, like the food is repeating in my throat. Again, please go and have a look. Send me the stuff what they're sending it to you. But if they're saying everything's fine, I'm still saying it's not fine. It's not resolved. Yeah, just send it to me. What do you have got done? Roxy, don't know what to prioritize anymore. Is everything going to be okay? Well, Roxy, I teach you this, and I will say this again. Prioritize yourself first of all, honey. If you're not strong, the whole household is not going to be strong. Really, the household is not going to be strong. So prioritize yourself. If I want to be from limited to limitless woman, because when you're a limitless woman, you can handle it all. Yeah, and you can't handle it all. You are. And again, please, women, understand this. Another woman ask a question. This is me tuning into it. Respect that. This, whatever I say, stay in this group too. Yeah? So please, privacy policy about this. Roxy, you're like octopus, but you don't have 8 tentacles. It's like 16, 32. Like, you're multiplying. And you're like everywhere doing this. You're exhausted. You're exhausted. Perfectly that we had a class series about overthinking, yeah? You're exhausted. So I really wanted that you pull yourself together and really like go and have a look of it. What is that you're trying to fix? Because you're trying externally to fix everyone else's life. Fix yourself first. And actually, what do you have to fix? You're not broken. Trauma means broken, yeah? Fixing means trauma. So the radical manifesting would be perfect for you in the finishing of the class, because it will be about emotionally, where do you want to hold yourself? You're split in so many levels. I'm seeing you like you're in multidimensional levels, not in a good way and not in a spiritual way at all. It's just the emotions everywhere. Stop being a helicopter mom for the children too. They can handle it. They can do it. The children love to be left alone sometimes too. I'm not saying this that we do that every day, but they need their space too, yeah? Because if we are like too much at them, it's like way too much for them. They can't think and they can't solve the puzzles at all of the life. Laura's in Melbourne, so she's solving problems on her own, learning how to do it. Cyrene. Yeah, everything will be fine. You just have to look wide that particular event bothered you, because the chest, straight away I just feel it on my chest and it's just boom in my heart. It's like, why people do these things and why do they assume and why do they do that? But again, this is a reflection of what I want to, say this. People do things like I did in that roundabout without thinking, because I was in different la la land at that time. Overwhelmed with my own problems and the stress of divorce and everything else, yeah? So why do some people do it? Except they're literally murderers or like, toxic, really sick people. But even in that sense, from forensics point of view, what I've learned, when they're in that state, it's not almost a human state either. I'm not justifying their behaviors at work either, but I'm just explaining to you that particular moment. So overthinking for you, because it's like, why people do this? Don't think, why do people do this? Do I need to give energetical cord to actually try to resolve the problem? Or do I just give energetical cord of nothing and don't give anything to it? Because it's nothing for me to solve or do. You could just sit and just do nothing. That's the hardest part, by the way. Easier said than done. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. I am looking if I miss anything at the moment. Quickly, sorry, the screens are so small on this. I would wish they were bigger. And I should have my glasses to do it, but anyway. So do I just leave it? Do you feel like that you have to defend yourself, really? Do you feel like you have to ask the questions? What makes you feel that you have to ask a question? What makes you feel that you have to ask a question? It's almost everything what I'm seeing and what your dad is telling me, it's like, you want to defend yourself, you want to defend yourself, you want to defend yourself. You know what? The people in that moment were going to hear what they want to hear it. Remember that. People see from their angles and their inner child and their perception. Yeah? So they were going to hear what they wanted to hear it. Like I said about this class, you're going to watch this in 2 months' time and you'll be going like, oh fuck, this made so much more sense now. Because you'll be in that, even a growth level, but I just planted the seeds now for you. Does it make sense? That's why the mastermind next year will be coming up, seeds of wealth. Okay, and what would you like to do? If they were there for one reason, again, what I'm saying is like you're trying to defend yourself and then it turned into something else. And how is this affecting you? Why do you look for reasoning in it? This class was perfect. And why did it confuse you? Because you're trying to go and control it. We don't control the children either. We have to trust the children. I talked about this in conscious parenting, what Joshua did, yeah? You're trying to control it. Okay, it was something else. You need to go into more acceptance. Leave it for the session. Yeah, it's coming up a lot, really a lot from what we spoke about the other day. It's coming up really a lot, and beautifully that you're recognizing, you're seeing this stuff. So it's like piling up. And I want to say this to you all other beautiful women in a group. When you see that it's piling up, don't wait for it, that it just explodes, yeah? Because it will explode. It's just like a car. It will stop driving when there is no petrol. Invest time in yourself, especially if you're running your own business too. Like I pay my mentors, I do my, courses, everything else what I'm doing is because I value myself. And I always believe there is more growth and involvement. And every time I do more growth and involvement in myself, I see a different layer, or peel a different layer, I see a different layer. I learn more things. Like, yeah, I can't explain it any other way. I can't really explain it any other way, especially in the business stuff. That's why I do the business coaching with my clients, but learning other things, which I didn't know how to do it. And it's like regarding the business part. And it's just like, okay, not an issue. because I invested in myself and learning the value of myself. I'm not seeing any other messages on my phone. It just keeps coming up, like so many messages are there. All right, is there any other question before we finish it off? Because once when we finish, we're not going to answer any more questions if they've been asked afterwards. So you can ask any other question. So Pauline, send me the stuff, please, in an inbox. I will have a look and I'll read it afterwards. I will, because of that, when I'm picking it up. And I feel like there is anniversary, there's birthday, anniversary coming up, stuff. But I feel like there is another trip or some kind of a short trip. Please be careful. That's all. I feel like even car makes you sick to drive. I'm just reading if I miss anything else. Is there any other comments? We'll be in touch. Okay, yep. Please do. Love and light to you all. 1st of December. I'll have a look at my schedule. I'm pretty sure it will be 11 o'clock. I'll open up the finish line. I'm already putting the links for it to put everyone into the finish line. It will be there for 3 days. I had to finish off the end of the year, the emotional parts of it. You're not going to have a different next year if this year is not finished. And I will say this in a proper way. It's like, you know, when you're cooking food, and I love cooking food, when you're cooking food and if you're rushing the last minute of it, well, it's not going to turn out the best, is it? So let's go put these beautiful bows onto it, even if the year was difficult or challenging. And if anyone knows, bloody hell, I mean, I could get a Nobel Prize for bloody things what I experienced so far in my life. I think it's the day when I wrote biography and autobiography and talk about so many things what I experienced, and yeah, and the clients and everything else. It's like, yeah, I think some people will be going like, oh my goodness, how did she survive? But hey, I'm still here and I love what I do. And I wish the whole world is more healed. But 7-8 years ago, nobody didn't know about distorted masculine, shadow feminine, and they know now. Cellular healings, all of the things when I'm talking about it now, more and more people are understanding, and more people are like going like, okay, I need to go and work and I need to go and do the things. It does work, it does help. An example is my 2 children, and I cannot wait the day when I've got a grandchildren. And when I see all of these things, that it's so much better, that it's so much of healing happening in our ancestral line. But that would not happen if I was just listen to the podcast or just do wishy-washy little bit of things. It's like a car, brand new car, it's great. It's like a baby, brand new baby. It's awesome, beautiful, cuddly. They do grow, they do need change of nappies, they need to be fed. You're the leader. Yep, you're the leader. You made mini-me's. And some of you will have 2 mini-me's. Some of you will have 1. Marina, you'll have 1, just so you know. Anyway, I'm not going to scare you because that was a message for someone else. All right, love and light to you all.